The splintering crack of wood, sharp and sudden, ripped me from my morning coffee. Stepping outside, the air was thick with dust, the acrid smell of diesel, and the gut-wrenching sight of a wrecking excavator where my dam had stood. Gone. Obliterated. 3 HOA board members, perched in folding chairs like Romans at the Colosseum, watched the devastation with a grotesque satisfaction. Brenda, their fearless leader, even wore a sash. It proclaimed, in garish gold letters, "Water belongs to the HOA." I just stood there, barefoot in flannel pajama pants, blinking at the backhoe's claw, the very instrument that had just destroyed the one thing protecting all of them from Mother Nature's indiscriminate fury. Yeah, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. They say you never truly know your neighbors until you build something they don't understand. For me, that moment arrived the summer after I finished the dam. It wasn't some concrete behemoth, just a carefully engineered, reinforced earth and rock structure with a stone retaining wall and a manually operated sluice gate I'd installed with my own 2 hands over 3 grueling years. Every rock, every timber, every sandbag was placed with meticulous purpose, born from endless hours poring over hydrology reports, erosion surveys, and long conversations with my late Uncle Ray, a retired Army Corps engineer. My land sits atop a ridge, overlooking the Willow Creek Preserve, a prim, beige vinyl labyrinth of cul-de-sacs where flower beds were regulated down to 2 approved types of mulch. What most of those folks never bothered to realize, or perhaps conveniently forgot, was that their entire development was built squarely in a natural floodplain, one that used to inundate the area like clockwork every 5 to 7 years before I bought the property, and, through a controlled channel system, redirected the worst of the runoff. My dam was the final, crucial piece, designed to hold back the seasonal rain surge, releasing it slowly, harmlessly, through spillways and French drains. It worked. Flawlessly. The funny part? They didn't even know the dam existed for the first 2 years. But the minute Brenda Jenkins moved in and, through a campaign of sheer, unadulterated busybodyism, got herself elected HOA president, she started noticing things. Like how her precious mulch wasn't washing away in April anymore, or how the tiny, ornamental creek in her backyard had become a polite trickle instead of a muddy torrent. She could smell change, but she couldn't comprehend its source. That, I knew, was dangerous. Trouble arrived, uninvited, at my fence line. Brenda, resplendent in white jeans, espadrilles, and an expression like she'd just licked a particularly sour lemon. "I'm here about the structure," she announced, gesturing vaguely towards the dam, which wasn't even visible from her vantage point. "It's not in harmony with the natural aesthetic of the neighborhood." I calmly replied that my land wasn't in the neighborhood, I wasn't under HOA jurisdiction, and I possessed permits plural approved by the county, the Water District, and the Office of Soil Drainage. "I'm afraid it's still a safety concern," she persisted, her eyes narrowing. "If there's no water there, what are you even trying to hold back? You built something that doesn't need to exist, and that makes it suspicious." Suspicious. The word hung in the air like a bad omen. Over the next month, 17 violation notices arrived, each more ludicrous than the last. Unauthorized earthwork, unsanctioned water containment, visual disruption to neighborhood symmetry. I wasn't even a dues-paying member, yet they fined me $300 for causing hydrological confusion. I framed that one. Then came the threatening letters, reports to county code enforcement, the EPA, even FEMA. I sent back certified responses, laden with photocopies of every approval, annotated in red. That's when the flyers appeared, tucked into every Willow Creek mailbox. Warning: the Shadow Reservoir on private land. Unregulated body of water used without consent. They made it sound like I was about to part the Red Sea down Main Street. I could have sued for defamation. I didn't. I waited. I installed trail cams. I kept meticulous records. And I kept the sluice gate locked with a chain I'd welded shut. Then, a cousin's wedding in Montana. I was gone for 48 hours. Before leaving, I did my rounds, checked spillways, reinforced the retaining edge, ensured the secondary runoff pipe was clear. I even left a note at the trailhead: private property. Do not trespass. Structure monitored by cameras. When I returned, the air felt wrong. That prickling unease when you know something's amiss. The silence on the hill was too profound. As I crested the ridge, my stomach plummeted. The dam was gone. Bulldozed. Leveled. A gaping wound in the earth, a pile of shattered stone, and a single, twisted piece of the sluice gate jammed upright in the mud like a crude tombstone. Wide, heavy equipment tire tracks led back towards Willow Creek. Then I saw it. A laminated sign, fluttering on a stake. Removal of unauthorized structure pursuant to Section 8.3 of the Willow Creek Preserve Covenant. No signatures. No date. Just an HOA letterhead. My face burned. I checked the trail cams. Gone. Ripped from the trees. The third, smashed. But I had backup's redundant micro-recorders tucked inside the dam's control box. The footage was chilling. 2 men in orange vests, no company logos, cutting the chain with bolt cutters. Minutes later, a rented bobcat, ramming the dam's base. And Brenda, nearby, HOA badge gleaming, sipping iced coffee, barking instructions. Clear it all. This place is an eyesore. If he wanted to build a reservoir, he should have asked us first. Asked them. My land. My permits. My labor. She treated it like a rogue garden gnome. I uploaded the footage, printed the permits, and drove straight to the county offices. Damage assessment. Over $42,000, not counting ecological impact or downstream liability. Because the dam wasn't just a pond. It was a buffer. It held back 1.7 million gallons of potential floodwater from a subdivision built on clay-heavy soil with 1980s French drains. And monsoon season was 2 weeks away. It began with a drizzle. But I'd been watching the NOAA data. A warm Gulf front colliding with a stalled cold system. The model showed a 7-day deluge, a once-every-decade storm. And this time, no dam. The county engineer's office offered a weak apology and a referral to small claims court. The HOA? Radio silence. By day 2, the soil was saturated. By day 3, my gravel path was oatmeal. I walked the ridge each morning, water pooling where the bulldozer had gutted the basin. My temporary berms were a joke against this volume. Every drop hitting my hillside was now a missile aimed at Willow Creek. On the 4th night, 2:37 a.m. A deep, wet crack. Then a low war. I stumbled out into the mud. Down the ridge, water not trickling, charging. A cascading sheet of brown, churning liquid, tearing through the HOA boundary like a Hollywood mudslide. The retaining wall behind Brenda's cul-de-sac, built of faux stone and sheer arrogance, had sheared clean off. Her pristine backyard, gazebo and koi pond, was now a sludge pit, patio chairs bobbing like forgotten toys. The street below? A river. Cars submerged. I watched a decorative gnome launch like a torpedo into someone's front window. Biblical. I filmed it all. By sunrise, a war zone. Emergency services. Brenda, in a pink robe, screaming into her phone as firefighters waded through her yard. Her eyes met mine across the devastation, filled with the dawning horror of someone who'd picked the wrong enemy. I waved. That afternoon, the county emergency manager, a no-nonsense woman named MS. Albright, hiked up to my door. Mr. Thorne, parcel 83B. I showed her everything. Footage, permits, blueprints, the HOA demolition video. She took copious notes. This runoff event triggered a floodplain reclassification, she finally said. Insurance premiums, infrastructure retrofits, environmental remediation. Big money. Big liability. You think the HOA is liable? Oh, they're already blaming you. She consulted her notes. Filed a preliminary complaint this morning, stating you removed a critical stormwater barrier without board approval, resulting in catastrophic community damage. I laughed so hard, I nearly dropped my coffee. My dam. My land. My permits. I know, she said, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. And that's why this just got interesting. Within 24 hours, HOA emails flew, accusing me of unauthorized alteration of landform features. Brenda, on the Nextdoor app, called me a reckless hydrologist wannabe. Damn man, they call me on Facebook. But by blaming me, they'd admitted the dam's removal caused the flood. Legal dynamite. If the dam's absence caused the damage, the dam was necessary. Its removal without due process? Willful negligence. Their own words, a tightening noose. My attorney, Eliza, was already prepping a countersuit. Residents. Basements now indoor pools, formed angry crowds. A quiet mortgage broker named Greg demanded why the board authorized land alteration without a vote. Brenda stammered. The tide had turned. 9 days after the flood, the lawsuit arrived. Gold embossed folder. The Oak Hollow Estates HOA suing me for gross negligence, willful property damage, reckless terrain modification. Their fantasy. I'd abandoned my dam, let it deteriorate, then intentionally removed it. They even included satellite images after they'd leveled it, as proof. Eliza cackled. This is a gift. Malpractice this bold. I haven't seen it since a zoning board built a dog park over a buried septic system. We countersued. Illegal demolition, trespassing, destruction of private infrastructure, violation of floodplain regulations, interference with an engineered water control system during active hydrological risk. We subpoenaed the landscapers hired off Craigslist. No licenses. No insurance. One testified Brenda told him, he doesn't live here. He'll thank us later. The County Flood Control Board released its independent review. Removal of the private retention structure materially contributed to the flood severity. Translation, the dam mattered. And I didn't remove it. That opened the door to massive liability for Brenda and her cronies. In court, Eliza was a maestro. Drone footage, dam intact, then gone, then the mudslide engulfing Brenda's yard. Laminated permits. HOA minutes. Take care of the dam issue while he's gone. The contractor's cross-examination was brutal. Permission from landowner? No. County authorization? No. Did you tell anyone at HOA it wasn't legal? Yes, the blonde lady. And she said, he cleared his throat. She said, this whole neighborhood's on our side. He's just some loner with a hill and a grudge. The jury looked incensed. The ruling, HOA suit dismissed lack of merit, malicious intent, gross procedural misconduct. Countersuit, liable on 4 counts. Damages, $187,000 structural loss, $62,000 environmental remediation, $13,000 legal fees, plus $50,000 punitive. Brenda was removed as HOA president. 3 board members resigned. The HOA voted for an oversight committee. My land was reclassified. Environmental buffer zone, untouchable by HOA regulation. The end was quiet. No gavel slam, just the soft churn of dirt as neighbors, my neighbors, helped rebuild the dam. Greg from Lot 9, Martha who'd lost her herb garden, the Martinez twins. Nobody mentioned the trial, but a shared reverence for the land, the water, and, unexpectedly, for me, filled the air. The state AG's office, tipped off by the judge, uncovered years of HOA mismanaged dues, backdoor deals. Karen's landscaping contracts to her nephew. The Emergency Retention Basin Fund empty, spent on administrative meals. The HOA dissolved. Board members held personally liable for damages. Brenda mortgaged her home, drained her savings, sold her BMW. Still not enough. A bright orange, motivated seller as his sign appeared on her lawn. Last I heard, she was moderating an HOA-free living Facebook group in some flat Tulsa suburb, complaining about squirrels. I rebuilt. Hosted a cookout. People brought casseroles, apologies. We sat on the ridge, looking into the peaceful valley. Patches of new concrete, mismatched siding nature heals. So do people. Days later, I installed a new sign by the spillway. Next time, ask the guy who understands gravity. Below, in smaller font, dam specs, drainage capacity, county permit number. No ego. Just fact. Every time the clouds gather now, I sleep fine. Not because I trust the weather, but because I trust what I built and who I built it with. The creek flows, the soil holds, the frogs are back. They remember.